evening, Charlton fans. I'm Ollie Groom and you're watching 1905 coming live from the Valley. Here's what's coming up on tonight's show. We look back on Friday's trip to Fulham and ahead to Saturday's visit of Sheffield Wednesday. We also hear from Bob Peters, whose pre-match press conference was earlier today, and we're delighted to be joined live in the studio by goalkeeping coach Ben Roberts and Addicks keeper Nick Pope. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, all.
Before we get going, just a reminder that you can send in your comments on Twitter using the hashtag CFC1905, or you can head to the Facebook page, comment on there, or you can, if you're watching live that is, rather than the on-demand version, right-hand side, you can leave your comments and questions on there. So let's get right to it, guys. Obviously, it's been a good start to this season, despite the result on Friday. How have you guys found it?
Well, I think it's been a really positive start. I think when we came back in the summer with a new management team, we brought 9 new players in. So to be sitting here after 14 games with in 9th position, we've already played the top 6 teams in the league. I think, yeah, it's been really positive.
Yeah, I have to agree. Also, I think some of the football we've produced this season has been some we've not seen for a few seasons, maybe. And I think, like in patches, we've been excellent. And if we get more of that going in the next 14 games, we'll pick up even more points.
You've been obviously on the bench this season, back up to Stephen Henderson, but you had a 3-game spell, didn't you? And how did you find that? Was it obviously a good experience for you to get your full debut? Yeah,
definitely. Also, us as a player, when you're at a club, that's what you look for. First thing, also, is your full debut. So to get that after 3 years of being here was a massive achievement. So obviously, at the end of the night, I felt probably a bit different, but reflecting back, it was a great experience and a great result on the night as well. So it's great to be part of. After
those 3 games, when you're back on the bench, is it easy for you? Obviously, as a goalkeeper, you want to be playing every week. But I mean, how does it? It's patience, isn't it? That's key.
I wouldn't say it's easier. Obviously, once you've had a taste, you want to keep it going and keep the momentum of playing games. But that wasn't the decision that was taken. So back on the bench and backing up to Hendo, who's done really well. So no complaints.
And as his coach there, once he found out that he wasn't going to be playing in the Brighton game, it was no, he didn't take it too well, to be honest, which showed, the aspirations he's got for the future. But he's put his head back down and done really well.
That's exactly what you want, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Nick, going back to the back end of last season, you spent that hugely successful spell on loan at York City. How was that for your career and for using that going into this season?
Obviously, a massive thing for my career being the first time I've played league football, obviously a run of games. Really enjoyed it. Obviously went there lower half of the table, and obviously Nigel Worthington at the time, the week I signed, or the weeks previous, we signed 3 or 4 players, and then I was there 2 weeks and we lost 2 games. It didn't start too well, and then after that, when I think it was 20 games unbeaten, 19 games unbeaten to the playoffs, which was obviously as a lone player to be part of that, 4 months at that club was a really special time for someone like York, who just came out of the non-league, and to be part of that was something special, and I really enjoyed my time there.
It was something like 16 or 17 clean sheets, wasn't it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, 16.
I mean, surely that was no coincidence, you coming in and these clean sheets coming.
Yeah, but as I said, obviously them other players signed, and I did sign there obviously in November and played the 2 games previous to signing in January, and obviously lost 1 and drew 1 then, and they were low down then, but you could see that they weren't far off being a playoff team, or being obviously the form at the end of the season was championship winning. You could see even in November with the 2 games I played, that they weren't a relegation side. So they were never far away from it, and then a few tweaks obviously were made in January, and everything just clicked second half of the season.
And 1 game away from Wembley in the end to playoff heartbreak, that must have made you really hungry.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Wembley is obviously the pinnacle of English football, you'd say. Every player wants to play there. I've been to obviously watch a few games there, but obviously not the same. And I'd still love to go there. It's still an aspiration, and we were close. Obviously, to lose 1-0 over 2 legs is rare, I'd say. I wouldn't say hardly any teams have done that. So it was really in the end.
And Ben, from the coach's point of view, how does a spell like that for you and for the club, how do you see it for him to improve?
It's all part of his development. Since he's been here for the 3 years now, he's done every level. He played Ryman, Prem first, moved up to the Conference South, then the conference, and then League Two was the natural progression for him. We looked to put them out the comfort zone, really. You know, a new team, said new manager for them, playing every week where your goals might be shown on TV on the evening, where it's covered by the national press. You know, just all these things add to a goalkeeper's experience over time, so that when it happens, as it's happened here, now he goes in, at least he's aware of how the media, how the fans deal with everything. It's been fundamental, really, in his development.
I mean, and how does it work from your point of view as well? So, keeping tabs on him, on Nick, do you get to see him a lot? Obviously, the DVDs come in.
Yeah, I saw every single game on DVD that he played. I didn't get to see him live as much at York as I had done previously, because they play on the same afternoon as us. But we're really fortunate as well. That's the thing I look for in the loan spell, someone I trust. And their goalkeeper coach, I used to be a scholar with back at Middlesbrough. So I spoke to him after nearly every single game. Nick also, it's meant to be within an hour of him finishing, he sends a report through. But when the clean sheets kept coming, he started getting a bit arrogant with that, didn't you? Yeah. No, so we keep tabs. It's really important, you know, and he understands why he's going up there, and I think it works well.
And you've had these loan spells, as Ben said, through the divisions. You've now established yourself as a number 2 here. Would you welcome another loan move, or your eyes firmly set on displacing Stephen, essentially?
Obviously, it depends how the season progresses. I don't think you can really put a definite answer to that sort of question. Obviously, if the opportunity arises to play here, I'd obviously love to play here. But obviously, as the season goes on, for me to develop, which is also in best interest of the clubs and myself, I have to go on loan again if it gets to that stage in the season. So just as it progresses, then make a decision off that. But I definitely playing them games at York, Aldershot, Cambridge, they've all been a massive part of my development. So to get more games in similar to that would be something I'd definitely look to do. And
from your point of view, Ben, is it important for him to stay here and keep pushing Stephen Henderson?
That's important, but also for a goalkeeper you need to play week in, week out. I think for your decision making and for him to become the goalkeeper he can be. We've said just keep your head down, work hard. He's worked on different elements in training at the moment, which is going quite well. We said we'd look at the situation again in January. I would like all my goalkeepers to be out playing football. And
just on Hendo, arrived in the summer, and question for the both of you, how's it been working with him?
Well, I've worked with him previously, you know, and that was the reason I want him back. I'd also monitored him during his time at West Ham, so I knew where he was at. He missed a lot of, this year, the second part of last season with a bad injury. So I knew what stage he was at, and I knew how we would need handling. And he's responding really well, and I think, you know, his performances for us so far have been positive.
Nick, is it a good atmosphere, the keepers
union there? Ben, with all the goalkeepers since I've been here, there's always been a great working atmosphere between the players, and that's what you need as a goalkeeper group. So you need to be competitive and obviously fight for your place, but if you can't work together as a group, then you won't work. You're like cogs, you've got to keep turning. So yeah, definitely. And also when new goalkeepers come in, I think from my point of view, obviously when I was younger and I was looking up to them to learn from players, so like Hames, Rob Elliott at the start, and then just take like little bits of their goalkeeping skill set that I liked, and to try and put that in my own game, and then obviously get the best out of everyone.
And Ben, is it right that when you were at Yeovil, your very last appearance came replacing Stephen? Is that right?
Yeah, it was. We actually had John Sullivan was there at the time as well, but because of the loan rule, that particular day, I was sitting on the bench, and just before half-time, Hendo got knocked out. He got kicked in the head, and I'm thinking to myself, please, don't come off. Anyway, yeah, he came off at half-time, and that was my farewell to professional football, thankfully.
Okay, brilliant. On Friday night, the Addicts travelled to a televised match under the Craven Cottage lights. Here's the highlights and match reaction.
Solly to Jackson. Ben Haim. Given away by Chris Solly to Scott Parker. Parker making good ground, finding McCormack. And Fulham lead. Scott Parker scores against the club with which he began his career. Cottagers on an upward curve under Kit Simons. Charlton played themselves into difficulties. Solly gave the ball away. Parker began the move and received the return from Ross McCormack. Second goal of the season for the Fulham skipper, and their good form continues. Stephanidis. This is fluent from Fulham. Ross McCormack, and Ronnie Yeager makes it two. Fulham have got off to a flying start. 2 goals in the opening 12 minutes. Stephanidis helping to make the incursion. The clearance only as far as Ross McCormack. 2 touches, then the shot that was parried. And it fell very obligingly for Ugo Rodallega to fire in his 4th of the season. Cousins, flapped out by the goalkeeper. He's fortunate to get away with it. Jackson. For first touch. Fortunate to retain it. Jackson once more. And it was BK who appeals for handball. Only a corner given. A more positive period of play for Charlton since the break. Bettinelli having to plunge and make the save. Parker, it's Byrne, took it down. And the involvement of the substitute, only a corner. The way to go on the home ground. Christensen. Rodallega, good check, good finish. And that completes a fine victory. 5 wins in 7 games. And that under a caretaker manager. Charlton weary and wide open at the back. And Ugo Rodallega sweeps in his 2nd and the Cottagers' 3rd. So another very satisfactory night. Jackson. Wilson. Inside of the post and out again. Rather confirming that this is not Charlton's night.
If you see the squad, we lose Royce Wiggins in the morning with something on his foot. There's no Jonny Buys, no Vito Kele, Johan Gudmundsson. I didn't risk him to play again from the start because last 2 times when I did it, he had another injury, but he came on pretty well. Okay, then you know that it's a small squad and they rested 5 players. But I think if you see the second half, I think we were much more fresh. So I think physically we're doing all right, and I'm very proud of the second half.
So there you go, a 3-0 loss, Ben, and a frustrating night. We just could not recover from that quick start from Fulham, could we?
No, it was a disappointing night, all. We're under no illusions going there, you know, since Magath's been sacked, they've really started looking like a different team. And we're aware that the midweek previous they'd rested half the team against Rotherham, which tended to show how serious they're going to take the game live on Sky. I thought they were really good, to be honest, for the first half an hour, and we couldn't deal with the movement of Rodallega and McCormack up front.
When you see a partnership like that, and obviously Brian Ruiz as well, it's something like 25 million or quid knocking about. Is that a play on the minds of the players, do you think, or is it just a case of getting out there and we're equal to them, we can be as good as them, which we showed in the second half, to be fair?
I don't think it does play on the mind of the players, no. I don't think they fear anyone in this league, but it does show you that on the night they're class acts, some of them boys, and I think they did turn it on Friday night.
Do you think it was a case of if we could ride out that storm in the first 20 minutes, it's a completely different game? Similarly, if we get a goal early on in that second half, we had a flurry of corners, didn't we? I think it was something like 17 to their 2. It's a different game, isn't it?
Without a doubt, away from home, you can't give the opposition a goal early doors. I think we contributed to both the goals they scored. Apart from that, they had a lot of other chances early. We got in the dressing room at half time, and I thought it was a real positive atmosphere in the dressing room with the boys. They got a little bit of a foothold before half time, which I think felt they could get the momentum. We came out, and if we'd have got an early goal like Fulham did, it could have been a different story. You
mentioned going into half time then, and a positive attitude, which is good to hear. But I mean, what is that expected when you come in? Is that always the case when you're 2-0 down so early on? From your point of view, it's important to keep those heads up, isn't it?
Of course, it's important, but you can never predict what's going to happen when you get in, because you don't know all the little dynamics what have gone on the pitch previous. So no, there was a couple of boys talking positive, trying to get the lads going. Then the boss came in, tweaked a couple of things. We more or less just matched Fulham up second half, matched the Diamond up, and made it us against them. And I thought, you lose 3-0, but I think as you do come away, you could see a few positives there.
And Nick, in the second half, towards the end, we're chucking Andre BK up front. That leaves Stephen Henderson quite exposed, doesn't it? I mean, it's difficult for a goalkeeper. Yeah,
it is, but obviously it's worked before, obviously at Huddersfield and places like that. So you have to say, as a goalkeeper, that's something you've got to accept. And it's full of good of the team putting Andre out there. It's another option, another outlet for us. So it left us exposed at the end, and we conceded the third. But when you're 2-0 down, to get that next goal is a massive thing. The later the game goes on, the more you have to risk. And Andre was the kitchen sink, and we threw it, and it just didn't quite come off this time. Do you know what I mean?
So the kitchen sink as well.
Oh yeah. It didn't quite come off, but there's a lot of positives to take from that second half, I think. So even though they got the third, that's when we were probably our most vulnerable, being the 2 goals down, the game being that late on. So I don't think that's anything to consider.
What goes through a goalkeeper's head in the 89th minute when Hugo Bordega's, they're on the break, they're outnumbering our defence? What goes through a keeper's head in that situation?
Not another one. No, I'm not sure really. It's just, you're just thinking about, when it's in the moment in the game, you're thinking about, winning the game, or in that sort of moment getting the next goal. So Hendo's thinking, if he has a shot, save it, get it in my hands, get it forward, or get it to the person who can get it forward the quickest, kind of thing. So obviously not thinking about letting it in, hopefully. So just getting the ball forward. It's just a game on your mind, I'd say, nothing else.
Ben, just on Fulham, obviously lots been made about the money spending on Russell Cormack, and they're quite low down, had a poor start to the season, but do you think that's a false position?
I definitely think it is. I think it's a hangover from the previous regime, really. They don't lose all that quality overnight, and I'm sure they're going to climb the table now with more stability there.
You expect them to be up there at the end of the season?
And, there's a long way to climb still, and there obviously are issues within the club. Once they iron all them out, which might take time, I think they will climb with that, as we just chatted about, with the quality they do have in the team and experience in the team as well. I don't see them being down there.
And for both of you, Kit Symons has been given the job. It's quite refreshing to see, isn't it? He was given the chance. It took him a month or two to actually make that decision, but now he's got the chance he deserves.
I think they called expert paneling, didn't it?
Men, discussed this last week.
So he just had to keep winning games, really, and I think he did really well. He knows the club inside out, knows a lot of their younger players inside out, and I know he works really hard. He's always out watching games. I'm really pleased he's got his chance.
Okay. Moving on, Saturday's opponent, Sheffield Wednesday. We're in action on Saturday with Norwich City, the visitors to Hillsborough. Here's how they got on.
Well, welcome everybody to the Hillsborough Stadium for the Sky Bet Championship match between Sheffield Wednesday and Norwich City. The hosts are without a win in their last 5 championship games, and Norwich are also struggling. They are winless in their last 4. Early free kick for Norwich City, taken by Whittaker. Plenty of yellow shirts still up. Sheffield Wednesday do well to clear their lines, although the ball comes back into the danger area from the goalkeeper. Westwood to Sheffield Wednesday's rescue. It's Dielna. Now Helan. Looking long. It's not a bad delivery either. The pullback is a good one. And the volley was ambitious, but certainly worth an effort. Both sides really are in desperate need for a victory. As the ball is crossed long, Sheffield Wednesday will retain possession. Here's Newey. Tried to take it through the legs. Really well, Newey. Still going. Oh, and he's kind of fluffed his lines right at the end. He did superbly well up until that stage. Good chance from the free kick. Johnson looks the more likely. It is Johnson. It takes a deflection. And Westwood is across to tip the ball behind for a corner. Still 0-0 as we head into the second half. Coming together in the middle, but Sheffield Wednesday come away with it. And look at the pace now from Helan. He goes. Was it inside or outside the 18-yard box? The referee says it was outside. Helan can't believe it, but I think the referee has made the correct decision. Here's Lee. Wants the little give and go back. It's a little fortunate to fall to a Sheffield Wednesday player. Norwich City just cannot get the ball clear. The shot comes in from distance and it's a relatively comfortable save for Ruddy. Are we going to have a winner? It's a lovely ball down the flank. And the back heel finds his man as well. And the angle was just a little bit too cute. And he couldn't test John Ruddy in the Norwich City goal. Free kick. O'Neill to Jerome. Oh, what a save that is. And Westwood may well have just guaranteed Sheffield Wednesday a point. And Cameron Jerome kicks the post in frustration. Here's Nathan Redmond, the substitute. A box full of tricks is Redmond. Oh, and Westwood once again with a brilliant save. Here's Redmond. Lovely ball from Nathan Redmond. Finds his man Martin Olsen as well. Jerome! Oh, what a goalkeeping performance this is. He is keeping Sheffield Wednesday in it single-handedly at the moment. One final chance perhaps. The corner is delivered and the header goes wide. It's a really good chance as well from Russell Martin. Long ball goes the full-time whistle. Both sides still looking for a win. It's finished 0-0.
Sheffield Wednesday there. Ben haven't scored in 3 games and haven't won in 7. So you'd have to say a good time to play them perhaps?
Yeah, you've definitely jinxed it there, I think.
Take it back.
Technically, it should be a good time to play them, you know, if they're lacking confidence, but I don't think it ever works like that, and especially not against Sheffield Wednesday. I think we've got a healthy rivalry with them now, of our days in League One, then the Championship and the FA Cup last year. So, no, it'll be a tough game on Saturday.
I think we can take a look at the last 5 games on the graphic. They've actually got, despite not winning too many games lately, as you can see there, plenty of draws, and in fact they've got one of the full away record in division, I'm told. So, I mean, what do you think we can expect with them coming here on Saturday?
Well, I think they're well organised. That's shown by they've got the best defensive record. I think they've only conceded 11 already. Quite a physical team and quite direct. So I think we'll certainly know we're in a game on Saturday.
You mentioned that the clean sheets. Kieran Westwood has played a massive part in that. He's winning some rave reviews. Is he a keeper you know a little bit about?
Yeah, I followed his career when he was in the lower leagues, both at Carlisle and then I think he moved up the leagues with Coventry. He got his move to the for one reason or another. It didn't quite go. He's 3 years at Sunderland. I think he only played 20 games or something. So again, he's taken the choice to drop back down, play football week in, week out, and it seems to be paying off at the minute. He's made a good contribution so far. I think it's 7 clean sheets in 14 games, which is a great ratio. On
the flip side of that, Sheffield Wednesday had a good start to the season. Then they met Man City in the League Cup. We're beaten 7-0, so straight away you ship 7 goals. And do you think that's had a bit of a detrimental effect on their mindset a little bit? Because since then they have dipped in form.
It shouldn't have, because you go to the Etihad that night and you get what you take. But to get a thrashing 7-0, and then you look at the results since, it obviously has had an effect. Why ever that is, you just don't know.
And Nick, that defeat on Saturday, obviously, that was for Fulham. Important for us to get our heads up and go again on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, after the first defeat against Bournemouth, we reacted really well on the Tuesday night to get a result at home to Bolton. Obviously, Lennon had just took charge there. People had said it weren't a good time to play them. So to bounce back like that was credit to us, really. So just same again. Obviously, keep our heads up, like take the positives out of the second half at Fulham, and obviously done really well here at the Valley this season. So obviously keep that up as well.
Ben, is it a case of we forget that, we move on to the next one, we concentrate on Sheffield Wednesday, Fulham, it's happened, don't dwell on it?
Without a doubt, win, lose or draw, you've got to have that mentality in this league, because you face a different test every week. It's a really competitive league. So yeah, we've had a week now to prepare for Sheffield Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to the game.
Samido, he'll be coming back with Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, you were here at the same time.
Yep.
Nick, were you were here with Samido
No.
very briefly? Or just about missed him? Nice to see him, I suppose. Wasn't
Yeah, no, he did well for us when he was here. Jose, he obviously made the choice to move up to Sheffield, and I think he's got mixed reviews off the fans since, our fans, I mean. But no, it's always good to see him. He generally pops in after the game to see a few old faces and that.
This rivalry with Sheffield Wednesday you mentioned earlier, is it a clash you relish, or both of you relish? Last season we had that brilliant, probably the most memorable evening in the FA Cup, 4th round or 5th round, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then obviously the Marvin Sordell hat-trick. Is it something you look at now and think this could be another classic?
I can't say I relish the games against them, because it's always tough games. Sometimes they're not pretty. But yeah, me and Pete, and we were just chatting about it before. We had 2 fantastic days at Hillsborough last season, both the FA Cup evening and then the league, which was a tough part of the year. Found ourselves 2-0 down after about 10 minutes. I think 1 or 2 of us were looking at each other thinking, we're in trouble here. And then Marvin from nowhere pulled out a hat-trick, and we drove back down the M1 smiling.
Okay, earlier today, Bob Peters faced the press ahead of Saturday's match. Here are the best bits.
We started to get some people back, not fully fit. Johan Gudmundsson came on. He's not ready to play a whole game or to start. I think Igor Vetokering is getting better. So if we get those 2 players back, that will give us some quality injection.
And how soon do you expect Igor to be back?
I don't know. He was out today. Maybe he's going to be in the squad. But then again, if he's in the squad, it's going to be maybe for 15 minutes. We don't going to risk him, because he's a very important player for us, and we need to bring him gradually. But again, there is light at the tunnel, injury-wise. If Johan can hold on now, if Igor comes back. Royce Wiggins is coming back after a toe injury. Jonny Byens is back, so that gives us 4 quality players who are going to be available maybe to be in the squad, and that will give us some injection.
So Royce back for Sheffield Wednesday?
Normally Royce trained today. Hopefully he will have no reaction tomorrow, and then he will be back for Saturday. We need to continue playing like we did second half in Fulham, and then you start with a 0-0 on Saturday. But again, they're a very physical side, and if we're gonna make it physical, it's gonna be a very tough game. If we can play our game and pass the ball a little bit more, we have a chance.
What do you see as their main threats in terms of playing personally?
It's a good collective thing. They're very strong set pieces. So it's a very tough team to play, but all the teams are just behind us. It's also narrow. You can't say who's going to beat who. We lose in Fulham and we think, oof, now we're going to drop a lot of places, and then you see all the top teams drew or lost. So it's a very tough competition, and you can't say anything after a game. But again, hopefully we're ready and. we're gonna try to score a goal. That's the most important thing.
Okay, before we crack on, we have a question from Anton Sheridan via YouTube. Thanks, Anton. He asked, we had a strong start to the season, beating some of the promotion-chasing teams. Do you think we've struggled a little bit against perhaps the so-called lower teams in the division? That's a fair question.
Yeah, he's asked the question, so it's fair, but I'm trying to think who we've struggled against, because really when you look at them, they're promotion-chasing teams as well now.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very early in the season to decide who are strugglers. You know, Brighton are down there struggling, whereas we'd have said they were promotion chasing. Obviously the good wins were against Derby, against Norwich away, fantastic wins. We drew with Rotherham, who you would have probably expect to be down there, but that is a tough place to go. So they're
not having a bad season.
Yeah, I think it's very early to make that statement. What I would say, I think, you know, injuries have caught up with us a little bit and caught maybe the size of our squad out a little bit. So once we have everyone back fit, you know, I think it'd be a better gauge of where we're going to end up this year as well.
Yeah. Nick, talking about injuries, we've got another 3 games coming up in the next week, next 7 days. Last week we had 3 in 6 days. Do you think it's going to start taking its toll a little bit?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, as players, you kind of every season you play 3 games in a week. Obviously, players like Solly, they can't quite do that. But apart from that, most of the lads get through it fine. And obviously, if you train less on certain days just to play the games, that's what you got to do. So you're out there on match day. So after Saturday, I think we've got a really good regime here. If there's a Tuesday night game, we've got all the ice baths and got all the kit to wear. On the lads wear all these leggings on the way home, so just so they're ready for Tuesday. So definitely, I think we're used to that as professionals. You got to deal with that. Obviously, if you're playing Saturday and you say you can't play the next 2 games, you risk your place in the side. So it's not really much good doing that. So.
Ben, we've got another international break coming up in November. Probably something we're probably looking forward to when you consider, you know, Igor gets injured, and then we've got all these games coming up in a row. You know, Frederick Bülow got injured against Fulham. He's now going to be out for a few weeks. We just need a week off, don't we, for players to recover and to recuperate.
Again, it just goes back to the size of the squad. Yeah, it gives time for Earl and Lawrence Bloom to reassess the boys, the ones who need to be off feet a little bit more that week. It does. But with both them, I think the first international break, they had long journeys to Africa, you know, played games. So they didn't get the rest during that period as well, which is maybe caught back up with them 6 weeks later. I know we've just had the thing with Brendan Rodgers and Sterling about that. It is tough for these boys who go away on international duty, because what should be a rest week or recuperation week, they end up sometimes doing double sessions every day and playing 2 games. It's tough.
And the travelling takes its toll as well, doesn't it? A lot of people were saying last week when we played Fulham, and the fact that they rested 7 players, including someone like Scott Parker, they were all up to Rotherham while we were at home, and then staying in London on a Friday. So it does play on teams' mind, doesn't it? That having to travel on the coach.
Without a doubt, yeah. The boss and Bloomy look at the fixtures well ahead to work out, you know, our strategies for it, for the days off, for the training we do. I think we deal with it well.
So we have another coach journey on Tuesday night up to Leeds. What have you made of what's been going on up there this season? Bit of an odd one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm used to it. I think it's been a bit of a pantomime, to be honest. I think all over the summer since he took over, we've heard about everything in the media, you know, which shouldn't be the case. I think they should keep a lot of things behind closed doors. What's going on? They've now had two managers already this year, moving on to the third. I don't think it's ideal, especially, you know, a club of Leeds size with what's happened to them in recent years. I think it was just over a decade ago they were playing the Champions League semi-final. They've done a similar journey to us. They dropped through the leagues. They looked like they were getting stability back under Brian McDermott, and then this happens, which it's not ideal.
It sounded today as if Neil Redfern is going to turn out to be given the job full time as head coach there. It's important that he gets some time there, isn't it? But it's unlikely perhaps that he will.
I would suggest so. We keep going back to the word stability. It's massive within football clubs, both, you know, for the club itself, but for the players, so they know who's going to be managing them. A lot of players are signed to a club because of the manager, you know, and they want to work for them. If that keeps changing, I think a lot of the lads will be looking at the club thinking, I might be better off away from here.
And do you think that plays a part in attracting players to the club as well? And they've got an owner who's chopping and changing and making comments in the press and stuff, and really just exposing that instability with some of the comments he makes himself.
Without a doubt, a lot of the boys look like they're playing in fear. I think it was during pre-season, some of the comments that came out about Paddy Kenny were, it's wrong. It's wrong. It shouldn't come out.
Okay, Nick, before we move on, one of your old development squad teammates, Joe Piggott, scored a bit of a screamer on Saturday. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did indeed. Yeah, I stayed up to watch that one. You're just seeing it here on the screen. And doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest. The hours he puts in on the training pitch, before and after training, doing his shooting, working on his touch. So it's good to see it pay off, to be honest. And obviously a lad I get on really well with, so it's great to see him do well.
He'll be back from Newport, I think in November he's due to come back. Do you think he's ready to make another impact here? He was given a bit of a go last season, thrown in a game against Millwall, perhaps a little too early, do you think?
Oh, I don't know, but obviously, like Ben said, the squad is getting thinner as the weeks almost go on with injuries, suspensions and what have you, so it could be another option. It definitely is another option if he comes back for us to use and utilise, and so definitely it's also in the gaffer's hands, in Joe's hands, and how they assess it. But he's doing well, obviously playing games there. That's great for him. Like I found at York, he's finding at Newport. It's great to play games week in, week out. And if he's going to come here and not play games, he'd be definitely better off staying there, and then maybe later on in the season come back and make an impact.
Okay, Chaps fans have been sending in their questions for you all throughout the week, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media outlets. Going to post them to you now. So Nick, you're first up. Okay. This is from Sam Watson, or Watsham on Twitter. He asks, what has been your best moment in a Charlton shirt?
Good one, probably my debut against Bristol City a couple of years ago. Obviously to a bit of a game, to be honest. When you come off the bench as a goalkeeper, you never expect it. Obviously, like, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest, that my mum and dad went to the game to see that sort of thing, because they've followed my career and like massively and really closely all the years I've been playing. So a bit disappointed about that, but to just to come off the bench into that sort of atmosphere and to win the game, obviously 4-1 in the end, was a massive, I think, like a milestone in my career and something I'll look back on with fond memories.
Being on the bench and having yet to make your debut, is it something that's always in the back of your head? Is it thinking, I could be called at any minute, or was it a bit of a surprise? You went down injured and you're thinking, all of a sudden, I'm about to make my professional debut. Yeah,
it's just out of nowhere really. Like, as a goalkeeper, obviously, you prepare, you do the warm-up before the game, you do bits at half-time to stay warm and be ready, but obviously goalkeepers can sit on the bench 46 games and not get on, so you'd say it's rare when an occasion does come up when you have to come on, but you've got to be mentally prepared for it every week, even if it doesn't happen. And the next week you've got to be just as prepared as the week you were before, just to be ready if it comes.
Okay, Ben, this one's for you from Phil on Twitter. He asks, in recent games, opposition teams have been pressing us, stopping us playing from the back. Has that been a problem recently for us?
I think they've watched us, haven't they, now, and they realised it's a strength of ours, or had been. We don't have so much of a target man as we did with Jan in the past, where we can play it a lot longer. So the boss is trying to build up from the back, play through the thirds. I would say that the game we really struggled was Bournemouth away, because I felt they went then man for man all over the pitch, and we didn't seem to be able to solve it on that particular day. We've worked hard in training since then on different strategies to get out from the back, as well as maybe it's been a bit more direct on occasion. But yeah, no, it's a very valid question.
Okay, next again for you, Ben. This is from Ben Monday on Facebook, asking a question on a Thursday. He compliments you. You've got a cracking shot in the warm-up before the match. Ever asked the manager to play up front?
I have done quite regularly, yeah. It's like a dream of mine.
Especially now, could do with it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've asked him a lot if I can just play up front, but unfortunately, when it comes to training, he sees me run about and how stiff I am with my back. So at the moment, I think he's going to stick with ego.
Fair enough. Do you guys, Nick, for you as well? You, in training, when it's winding down, or you're playing a bit more of a fun game later on in the week, do you ever have a little go outfield and try your hand at right back or something?
No, just what I've done probably more this season than previous seasons is do a bit of outfield training just to like work on like footwork, which as a game, obviously, you'd say in the world of football, the last previous years, goalkeepers being good with their feet is becoming a bigger part of their game. So to join in with the outfield lads is something I do now more than ever. It's something I actually enjoy, obviously doing the keep balls and things like that. Obviously try not to get nutmegged too much and hurt anyone, but yeah, just it's good to have a run around with them boys.
Okay, Nick Daniel Hatton on Facebook asks, do you see yourself staying at Charlton long term?
Yeah, I hope so. Obviously, in the summer I signed a new contract, so yeah, if they do, I do, I suppose.
Another one fired at you, Nick. This is from Ronald Paul on Facebook. Do you see Dimitar Mitov as direct competition? How good is he?
Very good. Also, he trains with me and Ben, Hendo, Dylan Phillips like every week now, a couple of times at least, and you can see his progression since he's first come over here. So he's also doing really well. He signed his professional contract last week, I think. So obviously he's doing really well, and maybe not now, but eventually down the line he definitely is competition. Obviously every goalkeeper in the club is competition. You are the one that wants to play. There's only one shirt, so to be, obviously it looks like now I'm second in line, but you still want a shirt, and Dylan's below me in line, but he wants to be me, kind of thing. So it's all healthy, good competition, and something you need at a club. I think if there's a number one that's safe and he hasn't got any competition, maybe relax, maybe take it a bit easy, and doesn't train as hard or think about things as much, or takes his foot off the gas and there's no one to punish him, kind of thing. But obviously if you've got a good set of goalkeepers that work and push each other, it's good for everyone, for the club, for each goalkeeper as an individual as well.
And Ben, just on Dimmy, he's obviously still very young, he's only just 17, isn't he? But how does he compare to other young goalkeepers you've seen come through? We hear nothing but good things. He's been called up to the Bulgarian under 18s, 19s, after 21s I think he's been called up to.
No, he's in there, he goes away on Tuesday, he's in the 19 squad for their 3 games over the next international break. He's doing really well, but he's young, you know, he's in direct competition with Popey, Dylan's ahead of him still at the moment, and he's progressing very nicely as well. I think you sometimes see the young lads getting the team, Joe Gomez, the Carlin Grants. With a goalkeeper, it's slightly different, especially one who hasn't been in the system over here from a young lad. They need time. You know, his next 18 months physically is going to be vital for him. You know, he's working really, really hard in the gym as well as his technical work just to get sort of like Popey did when he first came in. You've got to be an athlete as well, and he's working really hard at that. I'm sure if he keeps progressing, he's going to end up a really good goalkeeper.
It's extremely unusual, isn't it? As you mentioned, people like Carl and Joe Gomez, outfield players coming into the first team at an early age. But it's extremely unusual to see that with goalkeepers. I can't think of an example of a 17-year-old making his debut. But
Buffon, I think, for me. I think Buffon, it was, but again, he'd been in the system from a real young kid at a big top club. Where Dimmy came from, you know, he's very good at a lot of his goalkeeping attributes, but maybe he lacks the physicality. He's definitely got the size. It's just going to take time. It doesn't come overnight. We're really excited by him. That's why we've committed long term to him. But you know, he shouldn't be viewed as a one for this season, next season. You know, it's going to be further down the line with Dimmy.
Okay, I'll fire one at the both of you. This is from Reese Reddick. He asks, what inspired you both to become goalkeepers?
Well, for me, I was brought up in the day before political correctness. So in the early 80s, if you're a fat kid with asthma, you got thrown in goal.
There you go.
And that was me, yeah. So I love going out to play football, but I couldn't run too much without me inhaler. I was quite chunky because I lived in a sweet shop.
In a sweet shop?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Heaven.
So it was. So I got chucked in goal. The more I dived about, the more I enjoyed it, the better I seemed to get, because I used to be outdoors all the time playing football, and that was my story.
I know you've shed the weight and not eating as many sweets these days.
Yeah. Once I moved out that shop, yeah.
Nick, how about you?
Obviously, a bit for my brother. He's about 4 years older than me. He was in goal. And obviously, looked up to him. Used to watch him when I was younger. Also, a bit of a quote from when I was younger. My mum says, I used to say, Mum, I don't like to sweat. So when you've got sport and football, there's limited options. So I was just in goal. I went and stood there and tried to keep out the net.
Okay, we'll finish off with this one from Alfie Pales on YouTube. He asks, what is a day in training like for Charlton's goalkeepers?
Well, we...
You said that one.
He just turns up and does whatever he's told, basically. But there's a bit of preparation goes into it. With regard to me and being outside, we generally go outside half an hour or 15 minutes before the outfield players, which gives us time. It's either 3 of us or 4 of us work together, depending on what will be needed that day. And we have a structured week. We do similar things every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. The closer we get near towards a game, the more we work on the opposition we're going to play on. Then they normally get 45 minutes to an hour with me, and then they'll go across and work with the outfield coaches and the team. Okay.
Right, we're going to take a trip down memory lane now with a look back at a meeting between Charlton and Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup from 1996.
To it, and there's Newton. Mortimer finds Grant. Grant's onside. It's there! It's the first goal! Kim Grant has scored. The ball played through from Mortimer. Looking to see if he was offside, and he wasn't. And we are just 6 minutes into the first half. Kim Grant, Lee Bowyer, John Robinson, they're all playing well this afternoon. It's a shot from Paul Mortimer, just outside the box, left foot. Not had much stoppage time, but I've noticed the referee, Alan Wilkie, has been looking at his watch every time the ball goes out, so he could be adding on a few bits and pieces. And here's Grant once again, the goal scorer, the danger man. And that could be a foul, and it's a penalty inside the area. And it's a yellow card for Pressman. And Pressman came across, he got the ball, but he also took the man. And Kim Grant's the scorer of the first goal. It's whether the ball was saved first of all. And here's Mortimer. And he does. Well, we're just 9 minutes to go of the first half. Charlton Athletic 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Over the top to Lee Bowyer. It just didn't fall enough for him. Pressman's under pressure, and Bowyer makes sure and he puts the ball away. And Pressman once again under pressure there. The ball to Bowyer, it was just dropping behind Bowyer all the time. We never quite see where it was coming from. And the back pass. And there's a goal at the post! Wide to Sinton. Ivanovic going to make the wide approach. It's a red card on John Humphrey, and John Humphrey is going off for that tackle. Free kick, Mortimer puts it in. And it's right across the front of the goal! I was about to say, I don't think they knew Stuart Balmer was there. Balmer's foot cleared it, and Grant has given it away, but they've won it back. It's Grant against 5 at the moment, and he's gone past 2. Pushes it wide. A bit too far for Newton. Walker's come the closing down. He comes across. Lieber off the bar!
Okay, guys, it's been a far too serious show for my liking, so we're going to have a bit of fun now. Sort of a Mr. and Mrs. vibe, but goalkeeper and goalkeeper coach. So I'm going to hand you one of these each. I'm going to ask you a series of questions or statements, and you just got to say whether you think it's you, Ben, or you, Nick, or one or the other. So first one, who has the best taste in music? No thinking, just go for it. Why?
I'll let you be the decider on this.
Have you heard some of the stuff, Popey?
Well, I'm into me indie music, so I'm into Vampire Weekend, The Strokes, still a little bit backwards. Yeah. And what are you into, Nick?
Bit of Taylor Swift. So keep it simple.
You're not even joking, are you? That's the weird thing about it. Okay, we might have our answer in front of us now, but who is the worst dresser of the two? The worst.
The worst.
You're not liking the blazer, Popey?
That's a bit serious, isn't it?
To be honest, I've got to say, since he's first come into the club, he's improved drastically. Because when he first arrived, by But I would like, can you stand up in front of the camera now, Nick, just to show people how tight
Well,
them
he's too
jeans
big,
are?
he's going to go well
I go
out.
through the roof.
They aren't jeans, they're more compression tight, he
Just
seems
leggings.
to be wearing,
Yeah.
But
All
no,
the tighties on.
he's definitely improved, but I'm just still leading, I think, yeah.
You've gone for yourself. All right, next up, who is the best shot stopper? Yeah, there you go, unanimous.
All day long, I wish I had the ability this lad's got, yeah.
Was that something during your career which you
No, I was classed as an okay shot stopper, but
He's even better.
yeah, Porky's top draw.
All right. Who's the better kicker? Who can kick the furthest between the two of you?
The furthest or the better?
Both.
Porky kicks
Better.
Porky
He
kicks the
kick the
furthest. The
You
coach,
kick
I
the
think,
better.
yeah,
So
The straightest.
more precision.
yeah, I would say
Need a bit
so.
of both.
But also, if you're dealing with feet, I can't kick left-footed at all.
At all.
Because, well, when I played, you could pick back passes up, really, especially at begin, whereas Puppy's now two-footed. So,
Okay.
the modern goalkeeper.
Who has the better haircut?
Oh,
You think yourself? You agree?
Yeah, I'm hanging on,
He's
mate.
had a few different haircuts. since
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
been
I think so.
I hope you got some pictures of his old haircuts
Might
when you
do in a
first
bit,
came in.
Might not.
No,
Justin Bieber was in back in the day. You know, I gave it to him.
Right, well, that's going to be my next question. Who looks the most like Justin Bieber? Yeah, unanimous again. Who's a better dancer?
That's tight, isn't it?
It's tight.
Yeah, it's not.
But
We're
you
both
were
as
straight,
bad.
innit?
We're both as bad. Can it go in the middle? Because
No,
I'm
no.
terrible, and I've seen Ben.
Yeah.
He's just up there as well.
Prove
Well, Poppy came to my wedding and he saw the first dance and I thought it was exceptional. It was, whereas he's got no rhythm at all.
Okay. Who's the most intelligent? It's got to be, isn't it?
But
Teacher and the apprentice.
Experience,
yeah,
just age.
just
one
shared
leg.
it, just shared that one.
Alrighty. Won't do this for much longer. Who's the better singer? Bieber impression?
Oh
that's
wow!
nice.
I've not heard him sing,
Yeah, you
but
don't want to.
my missus tries to jump out the car window when when the radio comes on. I'm that bad.
Okay, I think a lot of love between you. You guys are complimenting each other. It's nice to see. Bit of a shame, really, we were hoping
You've got
for
to when
anything
you,
more.
it's
when
not
you
who's
spend
better.
every day together, it does become Mr. and Mrs.
I don't think it's not who's better, it's who's worse. I think it's just terrible.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Tickets for Charlton's upcoming matches are now on sale and can be bought online, over the phone or in person from the ticket office. The home match against Sheffield Wednesday and the trip to Leeds and Reading are now on general sale, while November's clash with Millwall is now on restricted sale. Okay, so we're going to have even more fun now. We're going to finish off with some of those photos that you were talking about potentially of Popey or not. I want you guys, whenever the picture comes up, tell us what year it's from. Normally it's a bit of a competition, but we haven't actually got the dates ourselves, so it's a bit of a test here. First one up, who's it going to be?
Right, I'm looking at the kit. That is
Have we got time for this? To analyse this picture?
1996, and I'm on loan at Bradford there.
Wow.
Got called back after 2 games.
That kit as
Why
well,
was
by
that?
the way.
Yeah, that kit weren't the best, mate.
And the hair?
Yeah, the hair was in a growing phase.
That's a poor man's Laurie Wilson, that. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I don't think this is the last we're going to see of this haircut. Let's go to the next one. There we go. It's a nice one, isn't it?
It's a good team photo.
Go on, Nick.
It's Welling, isn't it?
Who's a bouncer on the right?
Yeah, it's Conor Goff, Robbie Elliott, myself, John Sullivan, and one of Popey's first days at Charlton. So I think it was
2011 July, first week of July, I think, at Welling.
Welling.
How old are you there, Popey? You must
19.
19.
19. In my youth, in my prime.
Yeah, I think I was 23 there.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Wow. you were the architect of your own downfall here.
That was someone's stole that off my Instagram, I think.
Well, we were sitting here this time last week talking about next week's show. I haven't finished the previous bit, and that came up on Instagram. You dug your own grave.
That's like 80s.
No, that's 1986, my first ever school photo.
Look at that.
And I look smart, but what it doesn't show you is the jumper. So my first day at this school, my best mate brings it up still. They all turned up. They used to have a little Slazenger jumper, a Lacoste. I turned up in a hand-knitted jumper from a woman up the road. I've never lived it down. Yeah.
All right, well, that says it all. Next up. Hello.
Oh.
Look at
See,
that.
I love a new Barnet, don't I?
That's come from Facebook.
That
I can
is,
see where the tags.
Yeah, that is Milk Cup. It's probably 2005. I'd say it's about 9 years ago.
In Ireland, yeah?
In Northern Ireland. I think that game was against CSK Moscow.
Wow.
That was when I was at Ipswich Academy, and we obviously went over there with the team. When you're that age, you don't really go on tour or do things like that. So to get the opportunity to do that and play in such a competition of high regard was like a great experience.
And for Ipswich as well, the team, obviously you're a massive fan.
Yeah, I also used to be a season ticket holder and played there for when I was younger, about 10 to 16, so I had 6 years there, and to play and watch there was great. But
okay, next one. Here we go. Good Lord.
Oh, you've scribbled the year out off the football there. That was I was actually out of goal there, so I'd thinned up a bit by this stage.
Which one are you?
I am the one in the middle holding the ball.
That is you, okay.
The skipper role, yeah? And that is Crook Primary School, 1986.
Just before or after the sweet debacle?
That was...
probably after, innit?
Yeah, I just started becoming a bit more body conscious when I was about 11, so...
What about the laces?
Yeah.
And laces.
They were Patrick Liverpool trainers with some jazzy laces in.
And what happens to that goalkeeper?
Jay Martin, he's called. He still lives around my way, Crook, yeah.
Is that a girl?
His career didn't go any further. I'm trying to see if any...
You usurped him between the sticks.
Is that a girl on the left?
Which one?
Top left, one in.
Oh, it does look...
Top left. No, that wasn't a girl. He was called Mark Harden.
Don't tell him that.
All right, next up. Ooh,
we've had that.
Long way. There we go.
Okay. The Middlesbrough Boot Room in 1991. So one of the first days as a scholar. I'm obviously the one in the goalkeeper jersey there, cleaning. I think they might have been Willie Faulkner's boots. And then Jamie Pollock in the front row went on to play quite a bit for Middlesbrough. Alan Moore next to me on the right hand side, and Mickey Barron ended up as Hartlepool assistant manager as well. So they all went on.
I've seriously lost track of how many we've done so far, but I think we've got another one, haven't we? Steve, yes we have. What a one.
Oh.
Bieber Sweep in his prime. 2011, the summer before I joined Charlton. That'll be my last year at college. Obviously, I didn't do a scholarship at any club, so I went to West Suffolk College in Bury St Edmunds and did 3 years there, part of the football academy that they run, the education, and that was the presentation night in about May, I'd say.
Have you got eye makeup on there, Nick?
No, just great facial features.
Yeah.
And what was the award there? What have you done?
Best waistcoat.
Yeah. So I went for a couple of frames afterwards, I think, that night. Just player of the year, I think, or...
No, he didn't. He's made that up.
I can make it up.
Most improved.
What was it? Clubman? That was the one. Is that the last one, or?
Token one.
I'm not sure. I think it is the last one. Just before we go, we'll have one more question coming in from online from a John. What other career, if not a footballer, where would you have ended up?
Working in a sweet shop, I think.
Maintaining that waistline.
Yeah.
Nick?
I don't know. On the farm, probably, with my old man, like mucking in. But hopefully I'll never have to go over that direction.
Okay, we just have time left to thank Ben Roberts and Nick Pope for joining us in tonight's show. Thanks, guys, and good luck ahead of Saturday's match against Sheffield Wednesday.
Thanks, all.
Cheers.
Thank you as well for watching. We'll see you on Saturday. Good night.
Scott Parker scores against the club with which he began his career. Fulham of flying stars. But this is not Charlton.
Fans will back us up. Nobody would have thought at this moment we had 22 points.